We bring you another edition of Press Review this morning, today on Friday, 3rd November 2023. Good morning. And in this edition today, you are with me, Robert Edward, and my colleague,
Helbert Katanda.
Good morning, Helbert.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How is home?
I'm so sorry.
So as usual, we'll take you through the nation and the Daily Times, and I'll go straight to the stories making headlines on the front page. United we stand. Malawi celebrates inaugural Umoja Day. Reverend Bob Marley and the Wailers sang of how good it is for a people to be united, regardless of political, religious, and social affiliation, as well as race. Events at the Chilimampunga Community Ground in Ntandire Lilongwe yesterday, where Malawi celebrated the inaugural Umoja Day or National Unity Day, surely resonated with the wishes of the foreign reggae star. Wow.
I think that's perfect.
I like how the story has been presented. There is even a chorus of that song, of those songs. Okay, so we're having this day to be celebrating and to be commemorating. I followed a bit of what the president was saying in his speech. So he says, so the first week of every Thursday in every month. So every year we are going to be celebrating. This is not quite strange. It's not new coming from the president. The president is fond of saying these things. He said that on National Cleanup Day. Every Friday of the second week we need to be doing that, and then you see he comes back and he starts saying, hey, let me tell you this. We didn't say that we will be doing it of a month. We're trying to make sure that we are implementing this. We had in this country a certain structure. It was called National Peace Architecture. And I remember, I think it was funded by UNDP then in the DBB government. And I remember during the 2019 demonstrations, I had asked, the chairperson then was some pastor, I've just forgotten his name, but the then Minister of Finance, I called him, I asked him, because the chairperson, I think he's the pastor, is it Kambale Family Church? Was the chairperson of the National Peace Architecture. So when I called him, he said funding was the problem. It was like, you know, like how it was. And then I asked the then minister and said, you didn't. So I've just really forgotten the his direct quotes. Komano, it was at a time when the National Peace Architecture then was supposed to work, and it wasn't working. You know, Narendra demonstrations marred with violence and all that, and people had grievances they wanted to present to government. So there was that between the people and the government. And I hope that this is not another level of rhetoric way of doing things. I believe this is going to be something. And Malawians, I think this is the high time that we need to disregard these politicians. When they come and start telling us these things, we need to take them to ourselves. When the president speaks, let's take that. But if we go to count on them, they are just politicians and nothing else. The good thing is, at least in their political way, they will bring good things, because this is good. You know, and nothing happens. So we need to take it.
All right. Moving on the front page of the Daily Times newspaper, of course, there is a similar story which its headline says Chaguera sells Unity. And another story talks about traders lock AIP fertilizer, and that's of course the headline. There are two sub-headlines, which one of it being demand US dollars, and another one is RBM releases 20 million US dollars. Partly the story is appearing on the third page, and I don't see the story.
I think it's right there.
All right, it's on the second page.
Yes, it's on the second.
I think I was supposed to put on glasses. The country has about 40,000.
I know the reason.
4,500 metric tons of fertilizer that are available for distribution, but Affordable Inputs Program beneficiaries cannot access the same because the soil enriching substance is under collateral. Okay.
Okay.
Dziko lathu la Malawi tili ndi 14,500 metric tons matani a fertilizer koma alimi sangakatenge chifukwa
fertilizer wa AIP
adapinyulitsa ali ngati chikole.
Sorry for that. I think it's good about it, you know. I'm quite angry though to be hearing this this kind of reports. I don't know when we are going to sit down and start hearing something about AIP that is not having this for lack of better words reflection of levels of incompetence in the manner that these things are run. Now, I'm speaking now as a person who is planning to farm this season, and I'm really disappointed as a person.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is someone who is suggesting something different. Is thinking of we should take the level of investment that we put in fertilizer for AIP and do the same with the seeds, because even after everything, if people are going to apply that fertilizer, but with a recycled seed, nothing is going to happen. We need an improved seed. Somebody has suggested that, and now for fertilizer, if we are starting to hear that, it's something bad. I mean, I wouldn't want to talk much. So intimidated of second page nation Chilima meets IMF or maybe before I went before I go to nation you had some comments?
My comment was to say I think it's really disturbing to a country like Malawi. Yesterday I was presenting Chizulo. That's a program where we hear various opinions from people.
Yes.
So our topic was how is it in your area? How has the AIP thing started? So people were responding, yes, kuno watu kudeza tukumva kuti fertilizer anafika. This other day we just saw the vehicle. It was afika ku company mene akuti tidzigulira kwa fertilizer ayo. Komano the selling and the buying sizinayambe. Hani yake chifukwa jana kuti chifukwa chonde nazoti tukumva kuti hai chiboxi chosungira mondrama menada renga yosada fike nayo. So you hear stories like those and you tend to wonder kwani boma lisiri kuona kuti nthawi ikuta.
No, someone was asking me the same question. Kwani ndifanana boma sima mangakali gosi
siri kuona kuti nthawi ikuta akuti
so I was like, my view is you don't do what you don't know.
Yeah.
So whatever bomaro
siri kudziwa
palibe so chiveli kudziwa.
Umano that was
your emptiness is as good as theirs. So
yeah.
I think
so it was on Tuesday when we heard the Minister of Agriculture,
yes,
Sam Kawale, saying, okay, in Malawi, I think we have managed, over 21,000 farmers have
yes,
managed to benefit so far from the AIP. komano amagamba zonena zoti kwinaku tikadatumiza fertilizer kwina wafika kale ndipo kwinaku akhala akufika posachedwa pa. So yes,
I don't know if he meant kuti kufika kwafika and it means kuti anthu ayamba kugula
amagamba kuti anthu ayamba kugula mena amati as of Tuesday that was around 2 p.m. amagamba kuti okay, over 21,000 farmers among the benefit. So in the end okay, zanu mwatiuza ndizimenezo. Now let's hear from the people themselves. Atuuza zotani ndi pamene anthu amagamba zoti unotu zavuta inde ena anagamba kuzonera zoti okay, kunoku wayamba tikugula komano from zomwe tinamva anthu mwina only 2% yamadera ndimene mafotokozako kunena zoti zayambika komano ngakhale zayambika anthu amadandaula kunena zoti okay, mmene zayambira ndi mokhumudwitsa chifukwa cha kupanga trim kuja akuti achita mowakhapira kosathwa akuti mudzi zomapezeka kuti mudzi umodzi osatulukako dzina ulo limodzi
komana ngakanatani ananza akanatani mwana wanzanu samukawali akanatani mwana wanzanu.
So that's the thing.
Akanatani Chabwino, I think before we go to business, Chilima meets IMF rep, supports public appeal. Vice President Saul Chilima on Wednesday met new International Monetary Fund IMF resident representative Nenan Kantiku and discussed issues concerning the country's economy. Later, in a post social media platform, that's Twitter, formerly it's X, formerly Twitter. Yeah, Chilima described the talks held at Capitol Hill as fruitful. Yeah, let's hope the fruitfulness we are going to see that the fruit indeed.
Yeah.
Is the Twitter now an X, or it's still Twitter but it's just in the symbol?
I think it's still Twitter.
It's still Twitter.
Yeah.
But it just changes.
So we are hoping to see the best. I remember that was in last year when the Ministry of Finance officials met a delegation from the IMF. They also told us the same story. And right after that, I think it was only a few days after that, that's when we saw the devaluation of Kwaja. So each time those guys come in Malawi, we hear stories that okay, I remember last year when that was chaka chinocho kumambiriro anthu amatuzonena zoti kwabwera IMF tikuyembekeza kuti kwaje ikhoza kugwa hayi boma linatsutsa aya unama amenewo at the end of the day anapezeka kuti yatsika now takhala tikumvaso masamba mchezo nkhani yomwe ilipo nchonena kuti ayi khangati dola ifika pa 2000 kubwera randa kuti kuzofika pa 1000 nzomwe akukamba anthu pakati panopa. So ife kuti tikamaona timadzoti utsi sufuka popanda moto. Now hearing kuti okay anakumana ndi IMF aja apopotamba kuyika uno mafuso tsopano kuti isn't this real? Chifukwa IMF wazimaoneka kuti nthawi zonse
projects to ease forex burden. What it is? The $60 million US, about 71 billion, was de-risking import of strategic commodities project comes at a time local firms are facing challenges to import strategic commodities such as fuel, fertilizer, and medical drugs due to the reduced access to foreign exchange, a situation that has made difficult for them to access letters of. Interesting story. Agriculture economist Wally of Israel-Palestine war impact. All right, part of the story. Agriculture economists have cautioned that the fallout from the Israel-Palestine are confined to some food imports. The analysts were reacting to an assessment the World Bank made on its latest commodity price outlook, which predicted that an escalation and or widening of the conflict in the Middle East would cause disruption to global supply chains and trade. I believe that these economists, they don't mind, they just speak the truth.
Yeah, true.
However, I'm seeing someone taking this as an excuse.
Yes, definitely.
I'm
most
seeing someone
definitely.
taking this as an excuse.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
we just hope that that story doesn't go to them. Chifuga, once they hear
story
that,
hii akasayiwilini akangoiva chinacho chose muziva nkhondo ya
izamuvezi story
whatever yeah isife kwa nkhondo ya
Israel.
Yeah, so I think
all right, there is an interesting business story in date portfolio, and that's of course the headline. Partly the story says commercial banks continue to dominate the government's debt portfolio, with recent figures showing the government owes them approximately 2 trillion kwacha. This is almost half of the cumulative domestic public debt seen at the 4.04 trillion kwacha. Well, ndimafuna ndingokamba mwachidule kungoti anthu amene ali kunduna waza Juma amene ali ku Central Bank, ku Reserve Bank of Malawi, ambiri mwayo they have interest mabanking. Ambiri ena mwayo amapezeka kuti ndi ma shareholder.
Okay.
Ena mwayo ndithu amapezeka kuti amagwiraso ntchito kumene kujaku lindito ma position. So izi zomati ma commercial bank akupanga dominate ndalama.
It's not surprising.
It's not surprising. It's not even news to us. So that's like what we were expecting.
Okay, so it means government is owing to these banks. And how do you expect the government to even effect controls on them as my bank? You go up and over ATM mama bank. I mean, if you got my booth full. Ama ATMs that ngati ATM alipo 4 mabisa zoti chikugwira muna ndi chimodzi if as a mama cushion there kamena munthu amene akuza kuinvestesa mwina kuza kamangala kuboma or something koma kamangala kuboma bomalo liso ndi ngongole ndi bank imene
zikonzedwa so
we're in a difficult situation. I think we should just go straight to sports. The council remains firm on guidelines, but before I go there, in I for one, I don't take that when it comes to my bank. I go in the bank, and if you're a bank manager, just know we got a branch per service station. I mean per branch, your bank, and the ATM will see you and you competent. You are going to buy. Komano vile ku banki ko ku state center ku banki ko chinthu chikuvuta ATM ucho chili ku banki ko anthu ali banki momwemo. What does that mean? It means people are choosing to be to be relaxing instead of working. So no, you are doing zindizosa. So in sports, council remains firm on guidelines. Once firm pause to follow guidelines on terms, academic qualifications. The Malawi National Council of Sports says it expects Football Association of Malawi firm to follow the guidelines introduced last year during the forthcoming elections set for Zuzu on December 16. Some of the guidelines include academic qualifications for various positions and 2-term limits. The guidelines lead associations should ensure that office bearers on key leadership positions of the following qualifications: chairperson or president of an association, minimum of bachelor's degree offered by an accredited hold office for maximum of 2 terms, provided that at the commencement of this guideline in full shall be regarded as first term.
Well, I think
finally, I like the guidelines, and how I wish if these, I don't know, the football administration, I'm believing, I think it might dispose ya times
Tisana with the BNS run headline, and partly the story says there are situation concerns at Malawi's biggest and most modern sports facility, Bingu National Stadium, which has been running without water for close to 2 weeks due to a pipe burst. The situation has forced the facility's client to bring their own water for various users. A client who asked for anonymity said the situation is worrisome.
Yeah.
Bingu, state, national state.
What others or other sports lovers describe as zamasewera zimatengedwa kuti nizachibwana so
Menezili kuti ndizamasewera.
I think anomangozenga kuti zozo nizachibwana. They don't really put honestly. It's something that we must be ashamed of ourselves.
Sure.
Do we even have a minister of sports in this country?
Imagine.
Because honestly speaking, I'm telling you,
2 weeks minister wungokhala kulibe madzi ku Bingu. Imagine.
I don't even, but I believe the system of this government. Honestly, we have a good system that information can flow from where it is now to the minister fast. I believe the system is that fast. And we should thank the report that was brought that issue up. And I believe these guys are going to do something. If they're not going to do something, it will confirm what others have been describing as Zibwana. I know if somebody can I know you'll be thinking that but no, if you sit in fact we have never dreamed anything about it. And it is people are describing it as Chibwana. That's number one. Number two is these guys as sports council. We're sorry, when you have done good, we do thumbs up. When we tell you your position. Okay, these are the things that you needed to be on top, to be giving. If you're in the response council, to give us my guidelines are this is how Bingu Stadium, or just to suggest, okay? Football Association of Malawi, again, you see Amina Mabwira Baba, my games Amina Mabwira Baba, and how much money is collected, okay? Sometimes it's good to give guidance. Who will management it? There are people who I think I heard somebody.
I was gonna say the same thing.
He's a manager.
Agubangarani Bingu in the Dani. These stories are over and over again.
So Bingu Stadium, as the story says, is the biggest and the most modern. I don't know how something which is modern can run out of that important.
That is our food, food say. That was the same story with BICC.
Yes.
Bingu International Convention Center.
Yes.
Anka Ibanga ran in the Aboman, how you mean? Imabangido abandoned, see Mabangido Panala, Umods Park.
And those guys, you see
Panova Dynastia Varuma Stoloiba, BICC. Now it's the same thing in the BNS.
And to get my friends, could you found go? Sports council go. This is something that you must do. When you see these things, I don't know what moves in your mind. Because you know, I think kumpira ndale zonde zilipo muna politics za kumpira but not as many mabanga akanga nyawa ama kanzo kuti ndale nkuchera na we don't want to start mentioning names kuroko kumenali wa imigakali manzi azozo tunena yo koma kumpira kuti makumpira sotu kukundu kumalo kumene kuma kama professionals and ama grand chito we believe in kufahamu kuli ma professionals ku sports council we believe kuti kukundu kama professionals. We don't believe in bootlegging. No, we believe we are professionals. But what are you doing as professionals now? Children is drama. Could you not have this? What that's a cargo body? No, you are not. Now, all you think you could have they don't have any choice. They can go anywhere. You will be the losers. So, as a country. Unfortunately, Nangasi, we not do about and Hamaiwa, and Hamina and most of the times, these elected positions, Amaiwa, this country can still run. You can still run without them. I think it's my figure when I'm saying Kwambi. Yeah, it's not in fact, there's a minute someone to replace you will be there because it's about Malawi, not you.
Mama is so he's going to do it better.
I couldn't sound like
All right, that also wraps up our today's edition of the Press Review. And remember, you can get the copies of the Daily Times newspaper at the price of 1,200 kwaja. And of course,
price here with the National newspaper. You've been with me, Robert Edward, and my colleague here,
Albert Gatanda.
Many thanks to Mr. Chifunyo Mbofana for making sure that we should be seeing each other. Until next time, was a Friday.